you're going to feel dehydrated, you know, because these are all your worst enemies. So let me just check my notes, because I made some notes for this video in case there's anything I missed out. Yeah, don't stay in bed too long. That's the other thing. Oh, and here's the thing: if you are well enough to go on a flight somewhere in the UK, either in the UK, or if you're in America, you're flying internally, or anywhere long haul, go through the security. Go into in the UK, I go into Boots. Buy yourself enough water for the flight. I mean, when I went to Arizona, we flew to Houston in Texas and then on to Tucson. And I actually bought myself 4 large bottles of water. I could actually hardly carry them onto the plane, but I'd learned the first time I'd gone long haul air travel that I just made myself so ill. So make sure you do that, and make sure you have plenty of fluids on the flight. They don't mind you taking the fluids onto the plane once you've gone through security, and so fluids on these trips are so important. I still had the headache from hell when I landed in Arizona, and it took me 3 days to get rid of this headache despite having all these fluids. So, you know, it's really important. Now, I don't think there's anything else I want to say on this video, except I think that's pretty much the things that I've really learned. The thing I want to tell you about, though, is that the second time I went back on another holiday, I went to the Maldives this time, because my silver wedding had been such a sad event, really, and I wanted to see if I could actually swim, because I hadn't been able to do anything the first time I went there, and it was really heartbreaking. So my husband said to me, we're going to go again, and this time you can put all these measures into practice and see how you get on. So I didn't drink alcohol. I didn't let myself get dehydrated. I had my nun pills on the plane. I had coconut water while I was there. I didn't stay in bed very long at all. I didn't eat late. I didn't eat big meals, and I was able to swim, and not a great deal, obviously, because I've still got ME and I've still got all the other symptoms I haven't even touched on this video, but I managed to swim and to snorkel for the first time in my life, and I did actually swim with a turtle, which I have to tell you, I was swimming with this turtle. I was crying my eyes out because I never thought that I would do it. And I managed to do it for several days. I did run out of steam after a while, and you know, the ME got the better of me, and I did have some rather nasty GI issues on that holiday as time went by. But the techniques I've learned and the things I did made so much difference to me that I was able to enjoy part of that holiday. So these things, I know that there are medicines out there that people can take. According to the ME Association, they are reserved for people who have the most severe symptoms and the people who are bedbound by dysautonomia. And although I have been in that situation, I am fortunate now that I can get up and do things. I think it's very important during the day to get your feet up whenever you can. If you're working on a laptop computer, get your feet up. Have regular breaks. Here's the thing. Only a few weeks ago, I decided to go supermarket shopping. I normally have my stuff delivered, but on this occasion, I thought, right, well, I'll go into the supermarket. I got 3 or 4 aisles down with my trolley, and I suddenly thought, oh no, I'm going to have to sit on the floor because I was dizzy. And I was actually in a panic because one of the problems with dysautonomia is it causes the most horrendous anxiety. So what happened was I put the trolley to one side. I sat on the floor. I actually pretended I was looking at something on the bottom shelf, which of course I wasn't. But anyway, it did pass. It was horrible, and I managed to get home with my shopping. But whatever you do, remember you don't have a lot of time to spend upright. So what generally happens to me, and this happens more times than I can even remember, is I will go to the local shop. I think, oh, I feel all right today. I'll walk to the shops. I get a bit of food or something, and I bump into Joe Bloggs from down the road who wants to talk to me about everything and anything for half an hour. and I just feel dreadful. And as the time's going on, my legs are going like jelly, my head's starting to throb, my heart rate's speeding up, I'm feeling dizzy and sweaty, and I think to myself, please can we end this conversation? And I have to make an excuse and get home as quick as possible. But this happens all the time, especially in the summertime, and people just don't understand because it is a rare condition, and they think, oh well, you're out, you're well, therefore you must be you're okay, and they think they can chat to you. But the problem is they don't understand the disease, and they don't realise that at the end of the day, you cannot stand up for very long at all because the blood is pooling in your legs. And here's the other thing: compression hose. Now these do help, I have to say, but I can't get on with them, and I've tried them, and I put them on, and then I take them off, and I can't cope with them, and I know a lot of people do find them extremely helpful, but unfortunately for me, I've never really got on with them. So that's really all I wanted to say on this video. I really hope that it's helped somebody. If anyone's got any questions at all, I'll be more than happy to help. I'm sure I've missed off some things because I'm trying to do this from memory, and the problem is that my mind isn't really very clear. I do get extremely foggy, um, and I'm feeling rather shattered today because my husband's working away from home, and he came home last night really late, so haven't had a great deal of sleep either. So I'm feeling a bit shattered, and the dog's been barking half the morning as well because we've had so many callers. So please forgive all the grunts and barks and things she's doing in the background because she is doing quite a lot of those today. But basically, those are my tips that I've learned, and they have made so much difference to me. And I hope they have helped. And I wish I'd known about these things 10 years ago, because I would have been able to get out of bed much more easily. Because I still have these horrendous days where I'll wake up and I go, oh no, the room's spinning. I'll turn over in bed, I'll have a vertigo attack, I'll sit on the edge of the bed, I'll think, right, I'll take my blood pressure, and it can be 80 over 65, standing up, and I think, oh my goodness me, how have I ended up like this? And it just is a dreadful day, and it does affect my stomach, and everything will, like, without getting into too much detail, everything will pass through really quickly, and I'll end up in the toilet all the time, and this kind of thing. So. And the other thing, actually, there's one last thing I wanted to mention about if you are traveling with orthostatic intolerance, is that if you're like me and it does affect your gastrointestinal tract, then a couple of days before you go, make sure you're really hydrated. Make sure you have some coconut water and some Nun tablets and plenty of fluids, but keep off any high roughage food, because what you want to do if you're going on a long haul flight is to get on the flight hydrated, but you don't want your stomach having to do an awful lot of work for what you eaten 2 or 3 days ago. I do eat incredibly healthy food most of the time because I am vegetarian, and I do try and cook everything from scratch for myself. But when I'm going on a long haul flight, or I'm going on a journey, even just going to Scotland to see one of my daughters, or to Wales to see another of my daughters, then I will make sure that for those couple of days before, I keep to very simple, low roughage food like scrambled eggs on white bread toast, or crackers and cheese, or something very light, the sort of thing you might eat if you've been unwell with a tummy upset. Because that way, I do think it does help should the dysautonomia get a lot worse, and it does when you're traveling, partly because you're sitting in a car. I mean, I can get potsy just from going in a car up to Scotland, and things like that. So it is important to try not to eat too much roughagey sort of food, and as I say, keep off sugar. I don't eat a great deal of sugar at all. In fact, I have tried to completely eliminate it from my diet now, because it does make the POTS symptoms worse. When I was first diagnosed, I actually used to, with ME, I used to eat an awful lot of sweets because I used to feel as if I needed the glucose, and that was actually, I'm sure at that time, a POTS problem, that I was lacking in fluid and didn't realise it. So inadvertently, I was making matters worse by buying glucose tablets, eating them, sitting there with a bag of jelly babies or something, and making matters worse. So I will do a video in the future about what I eat as well, because that might help some people to know how to make sort of foods that are POTS friendly, that you can eat easily. And I think that's a whole different video to be made, really. And I think the other thing is about another little tip I would say before I go about POTS is that if you are making food for yourself from scratch, don't make it and then eat it. Make sure you make it ahead of time, put it in the fridge and leave it, and go and sit down and put your feet up. Because if you stand up for a long period of time and then you go and eat, then all that blood is confused. It doesn't know whether to go to the brain, the stomach, and you will feel dreadful. So that's another of my tips. And again, if you eat, never stand up afterwards. I made a terrible mistake when I went to Arizona this last summer. I went to Tombstone, which is a great place to go if you're ever in Arizona. I had a lovely meal out in a restaurant, and then I stood in the hot sun watching some reenactment of a gun fight and goodness knows what. It was very exciting, but the guns were going off, it was adrenaline filled, the sun was baking down on me, and I felt so potsy. I mean, I had to rush to the bathroom, and I just felt like I was going to pass out. So that's my other tip. Give yourself plenty of time to eat. Make sure you haven't stood up and cooked it and then eaten it straight away, because you really want that blood to be going around you as well as it can be before you eat. And then, as I say, don't eat near bedtime. So I hope that's helped some people. It's been a rather long set of videos, and I hope that I can certainly help make more videos about other subjects related to ME, because I don't want people to think that dysautonomia and orthostatic intolerance is all that goes on with this condition, but it is a massive part of this for me. So let's hope I've helped some people, and apologies for the dog barking. Bye.